Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome once again to the CD Racoola Show. Today we'll be reviewing my oldest film to date with 1931's Frankenstein. It's alive! It's alive! This review is alive! This film, as I said before, is my oldest film to date, and is my first film to review that was done in black and white. I don't know why exactly, but I kind of find the black and white films a little scarier sometimes. I urge you guys out there to watch some black and white films, just to try it, just to give it a try. And if you are a true blue horror hardcore fan, then watching the original 1931 Frankenstein film is a must. This film, of course, was based on Mary Shelley's novel Frankenstein. Oh, by the way, that novel was written in 1818. You heard that right, 1818, which seems like just yesterday for me, but was probably pretty long ago for you young folk out there. Most of you probably aren't even 100 years old. Bunch of infants you humans are. Let me let you in on a little secret. Come on a little closer. I won't bite. Yeah, I probably will, but Frankenstein is not only my favorite horror story, but is also my favorite of all the horror monsters. I bet lots of you are just flabbergasted out there and thought that just because I'm a vampy that Dracula would be my favorite. Well, guess what? You're dead wrong. It's Frankie, baby, and I'm not scared to admit it here on the YouTube machine for all the world to hear. I'll scream it from the dark and desolate peaks of Transylvania if I have to. I love Frankenstein. There, I just said it. Just can't get enough of that big old lug. Before we sit on the table and truly shock this Frankenstein review into life, let's talk about something serious. Okay, let's tone it down and let's talk about serious for a second. Shall we? This is something that no one ever really talks about with this story, and it's kind of sad to me. But how mean is Dr. Frankenstein to his poor little assistant Fritz? Though called Fritz in this film, in other later films and projects, you may know him as his more popular name, Igor. I mean, how much can that guy even be getting paid to be Dr. Frankenstein's assistant? A couple of shillings, maybe? If that, just a couple of shillings here and there. The guy has trouble walking, and he's got a hunchback, and he's out there stealing brains and dead body parts for you, Doc. Sure, he may grab the wrong brain from time to time, but beggars can't be choosers, Doc Frankenstein. Igor, in the case of this first movie, Fritz, rather, his living quarters have got to be pretty sparse, to say the least, in that abandoned tower that they're living in, while the doc tries to revive dead bodies that he's stitched haphazardly together. I think Doc Frankenstein's hunchback lab assistant needs a little bit of love, and here on the CD Racoola Show, we're darn right going to show that fiend some love. So let's take a second out of our busy day to appreciate all things Fritz, or as he's mainly called, Igor, while I, of course, serenade you with Tina Turner's song, Simply the Best. Okay, here we go. You're simply the best, Igor, you're better than all the rest. Better than anyone. Better than anyone I've ever met. Simply the best. Okay, we're done here. I do have the singing voice of an angel, most say, even though lots of those same people say I have the face of a demon. Or was it the voice of a demon and the face of an angel? Or it very well might have been the face of a devil and the voice of a demon. Oh well, I don't know. But either way, I'm glad we got to show old Doc Frankenstein's lab assistant a little love here today on the CD Racoola Show. Speaking of Doc Frankenstein, I think a lot of fans out there focus on how evil they think the monster is. You know, Frankenstein's monster. But the original film especially shows a little more of a look at how evil man can be. The Doctor is kind of the evil one, isn't he? The film is meant to show how man should not meddle in the unnatural and try to play God, so to speak. The monster, although, you know, he has the brain of a criminal, we know that, is just kind of along for the ride, you know. He didn't want to be born, but whatever. I mean, I don't really know how realistic it would be to sew a bunch of random body parts together and bring them back to life. I mean, I'm not a doctor, you know, I'm a vampire. But I do know a thing or two about being dead and the dead. Either way, it makes for a heck of a ride, the story does. Speaking of the monster, let's talk about the classic look of the monster in this film. Frankenstein's monster, played by Boris Karloff, whom was just perfect for this part, by the way. Boris Karloff also played Frankenstein in Bride of Frankenstein, if you remember that film, and Son of Frankenstein. Son of a Frankenstein, I'm sorry. He played the character Imhotep in The Mummy as well. No, oh my goodness, not that mummy, try again. Not that one either, not near scary enough. Yes, that's the mummy we're looking for. One of the things that was special about Boris Karloff was that he had these kind of dark, hooded eyes, you know, and dark eyebrows that seemed to pierce right through you. You know, he's definitely perfect to play the part of both Frankenstein and the Mummy. Another cool fact about Boris Karloff, and some of you may not know, was that he was the narrator for the animated film The Grinch Who Stole Christmas. You know, come to think of it, the Grinch was actually kind of scary when you think about him. I mean, why was everyone else in this town like these pink little elf people who were Who's down in Whoville? And he was like this green monster covered in hair with a tiny little Grinch heart. Okay, whatever, enough of the Grinch. Back to Frankenstein's monster here. One of the things I think is pretty funny about Frankenstein is the fact that he is portrayed as being so huge. It's like, I'm going to build the perfect human, and I'm going to make him the size of Shaquille O'Neal, and with a haircut like Lloyd in Dumb and Dumber. You know, is that the perfect human to you? I don't know about that. Definitely need to update that haircut some. Let's give Frankenstein a little hair update, shall we? Maybe give him a little, you know, a Lost Boys blonde mullet. Maybe kind of a Ric Flair wrestler style hairdo. Okay, here he is. What do you think? Improvement or stick with the Lloyd from Dumb and Dumber bowl cut thing? Either way, I think it's a really cool film. And one of my favorites of all time. You know, and because of that, because it's so old and it's one of my favorites, I'm going to go ahead and give it a pretty decent score on my scarometer. Just because I can, and I think a classic like this deserves it. The Frankenstein film and monster have been done and redone time and time again, but I keep coming back to this original. That is pretty darn hard to beat, you know. So if you could, and if you would, Please comment down below on your favorite Frankenstein monster and or film of all time. Oh man, there are lots of them. You really start looking into them, and there's a lot of Frankenstein films out there. Not as many as vampire zombies, but that's quite a bit. I would like to thank you once again for joining me here on the CD Racoola Show. And if you could like, share, and subscribe so we could resurrect old CD's YouTube channel from the grave, it would be much appreciated. Please make sure you join me next episode when I review another older film, 1958's Dracula. Christopher Lee was in that one, and I really look forward to talking about that legend. Till next time, my dears, word to the wise. If you're thinking about resurrecting a creature from the dead, and think there is a possibility he may be evil and turn on you, maybe don't make him 7 feet tall and 1,000,000 times stronger than you. I feel like that would be pretty obvious, but not to Doc Frankenstein anyway. Anyway, bye-bye, bye-bye.